Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. A little while back, I did a review of Jim Henson's Labyrinth, the board game. Anybody who read that review will know that I didn't think a lot of this game. I thought it was lazy. I thought the design was phoned in. It basically took concepts from the old game Talisman and didn't do a lot else. I mean, there were a few slightly interesting mechanisms that could have been developed out into a well-rounded and interesting game, but that didn't really happen. However, what I did praise, and what I still believe, is that the production quality is incredibly good. There were two things that particularly stood out to me as being very, very, very well done. One was obviously the little miniatures, and one was the board. So if I just put this to one side for a moment. So what I thought I would do is just very quickly have a little look at the board art, and then have a little look at those miniatures, and then get to the main point of this review. Okay, so here is the board, and it's beautiful. It's one of the nicest board designs I think I've ever seen, really. It's beautifully illustrated, hand-drawn illustrations. My lighting's not gonna show it off in its best, to the best of its quality there, as I stumble over that sentence horribly. Yeah, the lighting's gonna shine on it a little bit, and you're not gonna see it, is it? But the artwork really pops. It's very bright, very colourful, and they tried not to make the spaces on the board get in the way of the artwork too much. With you know, you can see where the spaces are, but they don't obscure the artwork underneath. It's quite nicely done, and the illustrator did a very interesting thing. He hid many faces of Bowie in the artwork, and you can look for them. In fact, you know, there's lots of other stuff, and there's all the different scenes from the movie are in there, and the more you look, it's one of those boards. The more you look at it, the more you're gonna see. It's fantastic. It's a really, really nice board, and if I can find him, everyone's gonna want to see this. Hello. Come inside. Have a cup of tea. It's just really nice. It's, and you know, there's the masquerade over there. And yeah, it's a really nice board. It's lovely. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a shame there isn't a better game to go with it. So yeah, very, very much liking that board, and very, very much liking the miniatures that came with the game. There's Hoggle. A little bit of a nasty mark there where they've removed him from the mould, but what I thought, and what I said in my review, is that they kind of have a sort of classical chess piece quality to them, with the I think it's partly down to those chunky bases on it, but also because the detail is a little bit soft. I mean, it's not really crisp. But I don't think they really suffer for that. I don't know. There's something I like about that, and they're very, very weighty. And the detail is there. It's just it's a little bit soft. My wife says I have to paint these for her, so that's something else to add to the queue. I think, yeah, you can if I can get that, you can see that the facial features are a little bit soft there. But you know, it's an easily identifiable as to what it is. Didymus. You know, I think the sculptor did just a really great job of capturing the character of the puppets, of the characters, and so even though I actually bought this game for my wife. It's not actually mine, but even though I don't like the game and she didn't like the game either, I think we're both glad to have it in our collection, just because, if nothing else, the really high quality of the playing pieces. We've said that next time we play the Amazing Labyrinth, these guys will be coming out as the playing pieces instead of using the wizard characters from that game. Smell bad. Look at that. Look, the facial expression there. It's wonderfully done. Very, very impressed. And of course, last but not least, the Goblin King himself. Again, slightly soft on the detailing, but you know, it's a nice piece, and again, those bases, it's just something very classical about it. I like it a lot. And I think one of the other things is that the poses aren't really dynamic. They're very statuesque, and I like that. I like that a lot. It does make a change from a lot of other miniatures games have quite dynamic miniatures. There's something about that sort of stoic, statuesque pose. I like that a lot. But anyway, the quality of the actual miniatures were a selling point for the game. And by the time the game had come out, they had already announced an expansion, which was a Goblins expansion with new miniatures. And obviously, despite the fact that my wife didn't really like the game, despite the fact that I didn't like the game, I had to buy her the Goblin expansion. So this turned up the other week in the post, and it's a set of 5 goblins. There are some cards and some very basic rules for adding them to the game, but they really don't change the way that the game plays at all. It's really just about those miniatures. I think this is £20. I think this is for the 5 miniatures, which isn't a bad price. And they are lovely miniatures, but yeah, they're certainly not going to be a game changer. They're not adding anything new to the game. There's a set of new cards that bring them into play. So when this card turns up, it tells you which goblin miniature to add to the board. But then it's just another one of those basic tests. But in this case, it's sort of a 2-stage test. It's like it's added an extra layer of testing in an attempt to keep the monster on the model on the board for a little bit longer. Because with a lot of these tests, you play the card, you pass the test instantly, and the card goes out of play again. And of course, if you're bringing in that model and then immediately taking it out of play again, it feels a little bit redundant. So they've tried to create this sort of 2-tier testing system where if you succeed in the initial test, then the goblin stays around on the board even though you've passed the test. So it's a way of extending the amount of time that they're on the board. But it's at the end of the day, it's just more of those tests that if you don't know how these tests work, then check out my review on Always Bored Never Boring, and I go into some detail on how it works. But it's just different opposed dice rolling, really, and it's not very fun. What is fun are these miniatures. So I'm just going to take a quick look at these, which is getting to the point of the video. These miniatures are great. These are absolutely fantastic. Obviously, the goblins caricatures more so, and I think that works better, even better, for this slightly soft style. But having said that, I would say the detail is better on these miniatures than on the miniatures from the base game. Here's the cavalry, absolutely brilliant. Look, he's holding onto his leg. Absolutely love it. Absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I do think the style of the sculpting really works well for goblins, which are all sort of oversized features and stuff. Here's the artillery, the mobile cannon. Of course, anybody who has watched the movie will instantly recognise all of these goblins. They are the most famous ones, the ones that sort of the hero goblins, the ones that appear on camera. This is the little guy. He's the smallest miniature. But even so, I would say, you know, that's pretty good detailing. That's better detailing than on Sarah's face and things like that from the base set. And these are the armoured ones with the little beasties on the sticks. That, when Ludo's hanging upside down, these are the ones that are tormenting him with beasties on sticks, and then the rocks get thrown at them and their helmets spin round and they end up biting each other and things. Love these guys. Really good. Sort of like got a plague doctor type mask going on. Love that one. But my absolute favourite. Did she say it? Absolutely love him. He's big, he's chunky, he's got great big shoulder pads, he's got the cool pick and the shield, and the face is just brilliant. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, he's my favourite. Well, him and the cavalry dude. They're both fantastic. And yeah, it's as expansions go, it's pretty terrible. Like I say, it doesn't really add anything new. This is more of the same old testing. It's just there doesn't seem to be any real reason to put these on the board. They don't really do a lot. They stop you moving past them. You'd have to move in the other direction. So all they're really doing is taking away one of the few basic choices that players have in the game, which is whether to go left or right. If one of these guys is on the board, then you can't go that way. Which isn't very exciting. It's never exciting to take away people's choices. That's bad design. So I don't think I'm ever really gonna review the Goblins expansion. I might, but I can't really think of a lot to say about it. Really, it's just 5 really pretty miniatures and some pretty rubbish rules, and that's all I've got to say about that, really. Yeah, that is all I've got to say about that. So I'm going to leave it there. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.